Off the coast of Panama, in the Caribbean Sea, lies a long coral reef. Wherever the coral breaks through the ocean's surface, islands are formed. These are called the San Blas Islands. On some of them, which are now covered with houses to the water's edge, live the Kuna Indians. Why did the Kuna move to these islands, where there's no food or drinking water, or even soil for gardens? Centuries ago, the Kuna Indians probably lived in the rainforest of Central America. About 500 years ago, explorers, priests, and soldiers arrived here from Europe. They enslaved some Indians and killed others. To escape, many Kuna moved out to the offshore islands in the Caribbean Sea. They had to learn a new way to live, to build boats, to sail, and to depend more on the sea for their food. Most of their islands are about a half-mile offshore. But most of their needs still come from the mainland. By canoe, they must carry all their materials to their islands. These Kuna live on the island of Achu Tupu. They must even bring materials from the mainland to build their houses. Bringing all their resources here by boat is difficult. But the Kuna want to continue living on these isolated islands, away from other people, so they can continue to follow their ancient traditions in their handicrafts, their religion, language, and customs. This is Grandfather Kantule, making a sieve, or strainer. He's using an ancient tool, the bow drill, a type of tool that's been in use for perhaps 2,000 years. The tattooing on his arm is also an ancient tradition. Kantule and his brother are both medicine men, yet they often help their wives by making kitchen utensils and doing basket weaving. Among the Kuna, both men and women do many of the same jobs. While Kantule's wife is out fishing, he's making a new fan for her cooking fire. But as for taking care of the babies, mothers still do most of the work. Mothers everywhere sing lullabies to their children. The games children play, and their toys, are almost all educational, teaching and training them for the work they'll do as adults. Almost every day, someone in the family goes out in search of fish. This is Magualeti, getting ready to sail out with his brother and son for a few hours of fishing. First, they sail to small islands along the coral reef to collect bait, small fish that live in the shallows. The Kuna have learned how to catch and use every type of seafood available, no matter how big or small. If any of these minnows are left after fishing, they'll also be brought home to be cooked or dried for later use. They're off again to select a spot for fishing. This is Magualeti's oldest son, Ikwanik. For Ikwanik, helping his parents is like going to school. From them, he'll learn the many jobs and skills that he'll need to know when he's grown up. Of course, he enjoys learning the different ways to fish, to handle boats, and to understand weather by reading the clouds, winds, and wave patterns. Magualeti teaches Ikwanik what time of day, month, or year each species of fish can be caught, as well as the skills for catching them. Each person in the family works about 6 hours a day toward supplying their food or gathering coconuts to sell. They may spend another couple of hours at handicrafts or preparing food to eat. One of the most important jobs that every family must do every day, unless it's stormy, is to return to the mainland for fresh water. This is a job that women do, sometimes even twice a day. All along the coast, rivers drain the rainforest, emptying fresh water into the salty ocean. Up these rivers, Kuna women paddle their canoes until the river water becomes pure enough to drink. About a mile upstream, they can start collecting water. Their jugs are made from dried tree gourds. A little ways downstream, away from the water collecting, the women wash clothes and bathe themselves and the children. The rivers are their boulevards, their only way of traveling into the thick forest. And they must travel here for more than just water. In the forest, they gather wild foods, building materials, and here they bury their dead. Here is a tree gourd, ready to be picked. Almost every day, the men also come up the rivers. They do the hunting, and much of the gathering and farming. Some foods they gather grow wild, and some they must plant. Cacao trees grow wild. The cacao pods grow directly on the stems and trunks of the trees. From the seeds in these pods, they will make raw chocolate for use in cooking. Here, they've cut off the wild growth to make a farm. They've planted pineapple and coconuts, and occasionally do some weeding. Coconuts they've selected, planted, and cared for grow better than the wild coconuts along the beach. To gather the coconuts and carry them home, the kuna need no tools or baskets. The coconuts can be held together by their own strong fibers and carried on the thick stem of a palm leaf. Nearby, they've cut another clearing in the jungle and are now growing several kinds of bananas here. One very large kind is cooked and used more like a sweet potato, or is boiled in coconut milk with raw chocolate. After a busy day in the forest, they must now prepare for the difficult ocean crossing. What is the tide like at the beach? Have the waves built up, or the wind changed? The tide is low. A sandbar blocks their way. Everything will have to be carried across the bar by hand. The canoe must be repacked and launched into the surf. They make their dugout canoes, and even their paddles, very strong for this constant use in the rough ocean. Several hours of heavy work is required every day by the women, just to supply their family with water. Almost all the materials gathered in the forest by the family are brought to their island to be processed. These are stalks of sugarcane, which they grow on the mainland. They crush the sugarcane between two bouncing logs and wring out as much of the sweet juice as possible. The juice will be used as a sweet drink, or cooked until it thickens into a molasses syrup, or dries into a raw sugar. Each of the foods they bring home is processed in different ways. Cacao seeds must first be removed from the pods and dried, then ground up. and then cooked to become chocolate. Chickens are one of the few foods grown on the islands, but even the chickens eat food brought from the mainland. Almost anything the Kuna want to buy is carried by the trading ships that visit the islands every week or two. They have metal tools and utensils, cloth and needles, kerosene and flashlights, which they trade to the Kuna for coconuts. They probably bought this grinder from a trading ship. This may seem like a lot of work, to grind your own flour every day, but this is much easier and faster than the old way of grinding dry corn between stones. Only a few islands have enough space left to grow any food plants, like these breadfruit trees. Ikwanik's mother has asked him to pick a breadfruit for tonight's dinner. Breadfruit is starchy, not much flavor, like white bread, and can be cooked with almost any other food. This is Ikwanik's mother, Tilar. Her kitchen is a separate hut to keep cooking odors and smoke away from the main house. This breadfruit will be cooked in coconut milk. This is made by grating the coconut meat, then adding coconut water, plus some water from the river. Then the meat is strained and squeezed several times to get its oily juice. Logs from black palm trees have been brought from the forest for the cooking fire. The logs can be pulled farther apart for low heat or pushed close together for fast cooking. Dinner is served to the men first, if they get home from work in time. In their spare time, Kuna women make their own blouses, called molas. Mola art has become famous worldwide, and the women earn money by selling them to collectors. This sewing technique is called applique, where several layers of cloth are sewn together, with the designs cut through the top layers. The designs often show stories from their ancient legends, battles between gods of the sea, and of how the first life was created. Today, the village of Achutupu will be having a ceremony. The women dress in their latest molas and gold jewelry. A black line drawn down the nose is said to keep the devils away. Ornaments of gold have been made by Indians in Central and South America for many centuries. The Kuna Indians continue this tradition of using gold. The designs of beads, which will go around arms and legs, are first laid out on a roll of cloth. Their art, dances, and music are all part of the Kuna's ancient religion and traditions. Traditions they've been able to keep alive through their isolation on these remote islands.